Hey guys, and welcome. Today I wanted to go through some beginner tips I wish I knew going into Dead Island 2 that will allow you to get off to the best possible start that you can, but also set out a way going forward for the best experience that you can possibly have in the later side of the game as well. Today we'll be covering multiple gameplay aspects and informing you on what will be important not just early on but later into the game as well, and what you should get into the habit of doing and things you should do early on to reap the best rewards. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, it'd be very much appreciated. Subscribe if you guys are brand new for more content coming as well, and let's dive straight in. The first tip that I wanted to share with you guys is one that won't just help you early on in the game, but also it will be imperative to the later game as well. And trust me, I wish I spent way more time mastering this one, and that's being good at melee combat. You're equipped with a melee weapon for the first 3 to 4 hours of Dead Island 2 story, and no projectiles in sight when solely pushing through the story either, so you do have to wait until the progression of the story comes around to be given your first weapon. You may be able to find weapons throughout the world when free roaming. I don't really know, I didn't really spend too much time doing that, but I don't think you do considering you're given one in the story. But melee combat is so damn important that you really should spend a bit of time mastering the block parry. This is imperative later on into the game because you're not always going to have ammunition in your different types of weapons. You're a lot of the time going to have to resort to melee combat, so if you do find that you're not very good at it or you do die a lot when trying to use melee combat, I would seriously recommend spending a bit of time in free roam just hitting some zombies, parrying, and then doing the finishing moves and just getting used to doing it, and as to when different zombies attack at different times. It really will save your life and it will save you so much pain going forward. This leads perfectly on to tip number 2, which is use your skill cards effectively. If you go into the skills section, you have a series of different cards. Different cards, of course, do different things. Especially in the early game, your skill cards are extremely important to the way that you play, because it determines if you can be more aggressive when attacking, or if you have to wait for the enemy to attack first before it's even worth you trying to take that particular enemy out. Especially the big boys, and trust me, they are a nightmare. But your skill cards offer a really cool way to change up the gameplay without doing anything particular to the mechanics or having you have to learn new button combinations or anything like that. They just allow you to remap buttons essentially to do different things, and I thought it's a really good idea. For example, one of the skill cards you can block an enemy at the perfect time and it sends a shockwave out to that enemy, stunning them and allowing you to go ahead and do your finishing move. Another one it can be replaced with is a dodge mechanic. So as opposed to blocking and parrying, you can dodge the enemy and allow you to move much more faster around enemies without getting hit. It all depends on your style of gameplay, and it really allows you to tailor it to play however you like, and I really liked that, and your gameplay style is determined by the cards that you pick, and if you don't use them to your advantage, you're going to be in for a rough time moving through that world. So I would really recommend getting to know your cards, getting to know your gameplay style, and choosing the cards around your gameplay style to help you give yourself more of an advantage of going through the world. Tip number 3, one that I wish I knew early on: use damn fuses. Now, in the game you have batteries, you have breaker boards and stuff like that that you find throughout the map, and you must have come across a couple of fuse boxes and thought, well, how the hell do I do this? Well, you can only do these by contacting the traders and buying fuses from them. These are absolutely imperative early game if you want to get some good loot to start with and be in for a good chance of getting through the world without dying a million times. I personally didn't do this because I didn't know how to do it, so this is the reason why I'm giving you this tip. But I found myself running out of weapons to use early on, picking up old and crap wooden bits of timber and stuff across the floor, and it was just a really difficult way sometimes, especially when my good weapons broke, to try and finish off those fights, even using fists at times, and that was, yeah, interesting. Because the fuse rooms are side rooms, or loot rooms, the locked crates inside are stacked with great loot. I've had crates that have dropped snipers, shotguns, and fully automatic machine guns. They are really good. Whether that happens early on, I don't really know, because I didn't get to the chance of doing that, but I would recommend going to traders early on, as early as you can, I believe when you get into Emma's house, and buy the fuses if you can. I believe they're around $1,500 a fuse, so a bit expensive, but they're definitely worth the loot early on, and if you can get up to that advantage and even get a projectile weapon like a nail gun or something early on, then you'll be in for a massive advantage going into the later game as well. Stock up on fuses because you'll never know what you're going to get and never know when you're going to need them. Tip number 4, actually take the time to look at your weapon and look at the upgrades that your weapon might need. A lot of the time when upgrading weapons, you kind of just do whatever you want and choose this, choose that, choose this, choose that because it's available, but sometimes that isn't the best option. For example, melee weapons are your only form of combat early on, so what you don't want to do is put yourself in a situation where all of your melee weapons are fire-based or electric-based or anything like that, because some of the zombies are immune to different types of power-ups and upgrades. So you'll have some zombies that are immune to electricity, some are immune to fire. So if all of your weapons are what that zombie is immune to, even the melee damage doesn't actually impact them, then you're going to be in for a bit of a problem there. I've done it, trust me, it's not fun, especially on the bigger boys as well. It takes like 4 to 5 times longer to kill them and it's just not a fun time. Make sure you have a weapon of each upgrade if you can in your inventory. It doesn't just help in that scenario, but it also gives you a really good advantage if you come across the likes of water spilling out onto the road, or fire, or even gasoline or oil spilling out onto the road. It really helps as well, just give you that extra bit of defense when trying to move around the map, and sometimes you really do need it. Trust me, it's worth it. And finally, a smaller but very important point, blueprints. You can find these when approaching workbenches. They could just be sat on there you can find, or even going to different traders around the map and purchasing them from there. I would recommend buying the medkit blueprint as quickly as possible, but also ammo blueprints as well for when you do get those projectile weapons. These are extremely important, as before I went into a couple of boss fights, I was in a really bad situation. No medkits, no ammo, nothing, but I had loads of resources in my inventory. Dead Island 2 doesn't allow you to craft on the go, so you have to be very strategic in where you're crafting your ammo, your medkits, and going to these workbenches and doing these upgrades. I've been in scenarios before where I've went into these boss fights and I had to track all the way back to a workbench or try and find the nearest one in order to just to get myself ready for it because I was unprepared going into it. However, if I didn't have those blueprints, I wouldn't obviously be able to craft them and have to find them around the map, which isn't the effective way of doing things. So blueprints are massively important. And whatever your favourite weapon is, whatever your favourite ability is, whatever it might be, make sure you've got the blueprint for it saved so you can create them and craft them when you get to workbenches. So, always take a second to check blueprints when you see a trader. But guys, that is going to be it for the tips for Dead Island 2. Overall, a fantastic game. There's a couple of bits in there that I would really enjoy, a couple of bits I don't really enjoy, but I might do a review after I've done the story explained video, which is coming out maybe later on today or even tomorrow morning. Then I'll have a chance to crack on with a couple more things about it. But I wanted to put this video out there because I struggled a little bit when the game first came out and learning how the game worked, the mechanics, and what to do, what not to do. So these are my tips to you guys to check out when you jump in. But I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you have, subscribe if you guys are brand new, and we'll see you all next time.